Hi guys, so today we're going to read Chapter 9, The United States of America is Born, in the book, The Declaration of Independence. Okay, so before we get started, was the Declaration signed before or after the Revolutionary War? Let's see if we can figure it out. Now that the Declaration was written, the question was, how would the delegates react? On June 28, 1776, Thomas Jefferson delivered the Declaration of Independence to the Second Continental Congress. Jefferson did not like to speak in public because he had a lisp and was very self-conscious about it. So he did not read the Declaration. He gives a written parchment to the President of the Congress, John Hancock. Delegates took turns gathering around the parchment to read the words Jefferson had written. It created a huge buzz. Everyone had an opinion. But before any officials debated on the Declaration, the Congress had to vote again on Richard Lee's proposal of independence. On July 2nd, 1776, it passed. The colonists had officially decided to break free from Great Britain and King George III. Okay, so who can tell me on what day do we celebrate our freedom? Who thought up the country's name? Unfortunately, it's not exactly clear who first called the new country the United States of America. Jefferson used it as the title of one of his first versions of the Declaration, but in the final draft, he changed it slightly to the 13 United States of America. Other people definitely used the name before the Declaration was written. For example, 3 months earlier, in March of 1776, a farmer in Virginia had written letters to a local newspaper referring to the United States. A couple of months before that, one of Washington's officers used the same name in the letter, hoping to travel to Spain to get the country's help for the war to create the United States of America. Okay, do you think that the United States of America is a good name for the new free country? Why or why not? John Adams was so excited about the vote on Lee's declaration that he quickly wrote a letter to his wife, Abigail. He said that July 2nd would be celebrated across the colonies as the birth of the new nation for years to come. Adams was only 2 days off. Then the debate started on the Declaration, and very quickly Thomas Jefferson grew annoyed. He sat in the steamy assembly room where the Second Continental Congress was meeting. Remember, it was very hot during this time, so they were sitting in these rooms without any air conditioning. And listen to the delegates pick apart his words. This is hard for all writers, which we know. The delegates debated with passion and sometimes even anger. To Jefferson, it was like having 55 editors make changes to something that they had asked him to write. Some changes were minor and didn't bother him at all, but other changes made Jefferson furious. He had originally included language condemning slavery. Most of the delegates from the South, including Jefferson, owned slaves, but he felt strongly that this new country, based on freedom, could not allow slavery to continue. Jefferson argued to keep the anti-slavery language in the Declaration. Do you think that they're going to keep this language in there? But too many Southern delegates said that if they thought so, they would not sign the Declaration. John Adams and Ben Franklin, who agreed with Jefferson about slavery, convinced him that it was better to compromise than to have no declaration and no new country. Jefferson fumed, but he also agreed. So then the language ending slavery was found. And we know that this was brought up by which president later on. The fierce debate over the Declaration of Independence lasted 3 days. It might have lasted longer if it weren't for the horseflies that pestered the delegates throughout the meetings. There was a stable nearby, and swarms of flies would come through the open windows. There were nearly 100 changes, making the Declaration 25% shorter than Jefferson's original. Jefferson returned to his room and wrote out the final version. He delivered it to the Second Continental Congress on the morning of July 4th, 1776. There was no more debate, no more arguments. At this point, only 2 men signed the document: John Hancock, the president of the Continental Congress, and Charles Thompson, the Congressional secretary. The United States of America was born. Okay, So we know that July 4th is the day that we celebrate our independence. What are some of your traditions that you do on July 4th to celebrate your independence? Hancock sent the document to a local printer to have about 200 copies made. By July 5th, they were being delivered to all the colonies. One copy went to George Washington in New York, where he was stationed with his troops. Ever since the fighting in Lexington and Concord, the spring of 1775, there had been small battles going on between the Continental Army and the Redcoats, especially in the Northeast. So Lexington and Concord was the first battle of the Revolutionary War. On July 8th, the Declaration of Independence was read out loud to a crowd outside of Independence Hall. A bell rang repeatedly, and everyone cheered wildly. Okay, does anybody know where Independence Hall is located? And does anybody know what the name of that bell that was rung is called? I'll give you a hint. They're celebrating what? So what was that bell? The following day, General Washington had the Declaration read to his troops and New York colonies. The large crowds were so excited that they pulled down a 15-foot tall statue of King George III on a horse. Legend has it that the statue was melted down to make more than 40,000 bullets for the American Army. In mid-July, the Congress ordered a new, more clearly written copy of the Declaration. This was what all 56 delegates to the Second Continental Congress signed. A Pennsylvania man named Timothy Matlock copied the Declaration in clean handwriting on large parchment paper, about 2 by 2 feet and a half. On August 2nd, 1776, this official version of the Declaration was presented to John Hancock, the President of the Congress. He was the first to sign. 50 delegates joined Hancock that day in signing the document. 5 other delegates signed it at a later date. The Revolutionary War began, and the brand new United States had to win it. Losing was not possible. So after it was signed, after it was revised, then the Revolutionary War began. Okay, so next we're going to talk about John Hancock's famous signature. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to show you well or not, but John Hancock was, his was actually the largest signature. So when we get back to school, we'll show you a copy of it. For the past 200 years, the phrase, put your John Hancock here, means writing one signature. That's because Hancock's name on the Declaration of Independence can't be missed. It's the largest and centered directly under the text. According to legend, Hancock wanted his name to be big enough so the king could see it without putting on his glasses. But many historians said that it was only a story. They suggested that the real reason Hancock's signature is so big is that he signed it first. He didn't think about the fact that 55 other signatures had to fit in the empty space below the text. Okay, so which one do you think is correct? All right, so tomorrow we don't have a lot left. We only have about, let's see here. We only actually have about 10 pages left. We're gonna go through and we're gonna read chapters 10 and 11. All right, see you tomorrow.